We're back with the Joey and Mickey Pro Football Show. Here we are, August 10th, 2013. The team we're going to talk about this time with laser-like focus is the Detroit Lions. Joey?
Yes.
What do you know about the Lions that we haven't shared with our viewers last time, and particularly any players, the key players? What do the fans need to know that they may not know yet?
Mickey, my assessment of the Detroit Lions is about 18 key players. But the biggest problem that I see with the Detroit Lions, since I've done some research since last time, is aging. You know how that can happen on an NFL team. And I'll go ahead and give you a few examples, and I'd love to hear what you think they're going to do about this, because it's going to be a problem. But when you look at players like David Akers, who's been a kicker for a long time with the Philadelphia Eagles, now he's over with the Detroit Lions. I mean, we're talking about 14 years experience. He's 38 years old. We're talking about Ron Bartell, 9 years in the league, 31 years old as a cornerback. And I'll just name some names here. Nate Burleson, who used to be a Chicago Bear, a wide receiver. Do you realize Nate is 31 years old now? 11 seasons in the NFL. Happy birthday, Nate.
Happy birthday.
You're 65 in NFL years.
That's old. That's old.
Reggie Bush, The Inconvenient Truth. Hey, Al, what really happened? Anyway, Reggie's playing, as we said before, for the Detroit Lions now. How big of an impact is he going to have on that team?
Oh, Lord, I don't know. It's hard to say, but the good thing for him and for the Lions is he's coming into a team that already has Calvin Johnson. So he's not going to be asked to be the main receiver. He's going to be asked to be like a secondary receiver or something like that, and Calvin Johnson will occupy 2 or 3 defenders, get the way off to one side of the field, and it should be easier for Bush to get open. And he's been good with after the catch.
You know, you make an interesting point that you don't hear a whole lot of times. Reggie Bush has always been a running back, but ever since he played for the New Orleans Saints and was drafted by the Saints, he's been used in so many different ways, and in a lot of plays. If you look back at his career, Sean Payton did a wonderful job of using him as a receiver coming from the backfield. And toward the end of his time with the New Orleans Saints, if you remember, they were using him as a third down back. Well, here's the problem I have with that. He's only 28. He's only 28 years old, and I've been following him ever since he came into the league. And I thought to myself, this guy's not that old. You know, he's married. He's playing with Kim Kardashian, and he's on TV, and he's this kind of big deal. And now they're not dating, and I get this stuff from Gina. Because Gina keeps up on this stuff. I want to know who's married to who. Even if I was married, I probably wouldn't even know who I'm married to. I mean, I don't pay attention to that
That's
kind of stuff.
how big a football fan you are, Joey, and that's why I love you.
You got it.
Amen.
And that is what I was trying to get at. I'm paying attention to, I'm paying attention to what I really want to pay attention to.
There we go.
But the thing with Reggie Bush is, like I said, I think you really hit it on the head. Nobody's really come out and said this, but even though he's always been a running back ever since college, and with the New Orleans Saints, his role has changed considerably. And so what I'm getting at is, how exactly is Detroit going to use them? Well, I'll tell you, as I said in the last show, the biggest problem with the Detroit Lions was the running back core, because the 3 running backs that they had were either injured or were not producing, or once one got injured and came off of the injury report and was healed, it seemed like the next one got hurt. And I'm talking about guys like Michael LeSure, who's supposed to be back. And for Reggie Bush, I clearly think that there's only one reason that Detroit got him, is because they needed a steady running back so that they could have a running attack, and so that they could balance the receiving core, because the receiving core, as you said, with Calvin Johnson and some of the other receivers, is more than strong. But I want to name out some other key players. When I say the names Louis Delmas, safety, and I say Nick Fairley, defensive tackle, and then we go into, how do you spell Ndamukong?
Oh, Ndamukong Suh. I'll tell you in a minute. Woo. But anyway, here's how you spell Ndamukong Suh. I can't pronounce it, but I can spell it because I checked. Well, you know. He came into the league just a few years ago. He was the defensive lineman at Nebraska, wasn't it? Played for Buffalo.
He did come out of Nebraska. Wow, I'm
impressed. absolutely.
When you said that, I knew right away. Yeah.
Absolutely dominant. I don't know if you followed him at the end of college, any of you fans out there, but they played that championship game, Big 12 championship game against Texas, which they should have won. And the Nebraska defense, largely because of this gentleman, was a force, absolutely a force. Now, and he's been good in the NFL too. He's had some problems with his temper and getting suspended because he can't really hear. No, it's that he hears it. He hears the whistle, but he just gets carried away and continues to beat the you know what out of the opposing player after the whistle blows. So he's got some learning to do there.
Very aggressive young man.
Yeah, you could say that again. He's super aggressive and lacking, I would say, in maturity, even by NFL standards, which is saying something. But he's got loads of talent, and you know he's been a good performer. He could be even better if he could get his head together.
I mentioned the downside to the Detroit Lions, the age of a lot of players that I just mentioned that are at the end of their career. What is the upside for them? Two things. He mentioned the first one. If the coaching staff, especially the head coach, you're the head of the dragon there, my man. If you can get control of your team and you can discipline that team, that's the first thing that's going to happen. Number two, there were a lot of injuries on the defense. Detroit went into last year with a defense that was rated pretty well against the pass and against the run, and there were some key players that I've already mentioned. A lot of these guys were injured last year, so really that's the second key piece to how they're going to turn out this season, because these guys are back. And I mentioned some of them: Louis Delmas, Bill Bentley, the cornerback, also Chris Greenwood, one of the other cornerbacks, Chris Hope at safety, Chris Houston, which I'm high on, is one of their other cornerbacks, and to me I think he's the best one that they've got. And then they've got Michael LeSure, who I said got hurt last year. He was one of the running backs. The Stephen Miller is one that they drafted out of Appalachian State. As I say always, I don't follow college. I hate to say it, but I don't, so I don't know how good this kid is. But and I don't know what round they drafted him, but Appalachian State, okay. And
where's Appalachian State, Joey?
You know, my guess would be in the Appalachians. So that means that.
Why didn't I think of that?
That college is going to have to either be in Georgia, because the Appalachians, I believe, run. Boy, you're really testing me here at 4 o'clock in the morning. I believe the Appalachian Mountains, don't they run?
The Appalachian Trail
between the states of Georgia, a little bit of Carolina. Yes.
Somewhere in the deep south, yeah.
Okay, the dirty south.
Deep south. Yeah.
So someplace called probably like Duluth, Alabama, or some town like that, right? Some name like that, right?
Yeah, it could be. I don't really think it's in Alabama, but one of them deep southern states.
Appalachian State.
Yeah, and the thing is, you know, to get drafted out of other than any college other than the major college conferences, you got to be damn good, because the NFL teams looking at who's available on the draft board, they could take this dude from Appalachian State, or they could take somebody from the Big Ten or the Pac-10 or the SEC. Well, so they end up picking you. It's because you got some skills and you've proven it, and they figured it all out.
That's true, and I think that, you know, things have progressed so much with organized sports that I have no doubt that you're right. It's that tough to get in the Big Ten or any of those other schools. But the scuttlebutt on Appalachian State is, it doesn't matter how good you are in high school, especially as an athlete. If you could spell Appalachian, you're in.
How many P's in Appalachian?
I believe there's 2.
2.
Yeah.
2 will do.
Two's enough. And you know what? There's no I in team, but there's one in Appalachian.
That's right.
And that's one of your favorite. That's one of your favorite little monikers.
Thank you.
If you will.
3 A's in Appalachian, right?
3 A's?
Yeah, I'd say.
That's a lot of.
That's
a lot of A.
Our technical staff will come up with the proper spelling of Appalachian State.
Well, actually, there's 4.
As they did with this.
There's actually 4 A's.
Appalachia, you're right. All right, I stand corrected.
So say it with me. MISSISSIPPI. Okay,
yeah,
Appalachian. APPALACHIAN. See what I mean by that?
Yeah, but you got one more in state. 5 A's. You got to count the A at state.
Oh, you do have to count that?
Well, I count it.
Oh, I didn't know you counted that. You never count the weekends, because those aren't business work days. Detroit Lions. I've gone over the significant players. There's the age that I talked about with those guys, but Reggie Bush is coming to town. They're going to get back their cornerbacks. They're going to get back some of the linebackers that they lost. I believe I need to mention another name, which was Kyle Vanden Bosch. He was always a key player on the defense, and he did get traded. I can't think to where he got traded right now. But you know what? If I go to this trusty little sheet, you know what? I'm not going to see anything under the letter V. I mean, because how many players have a name that starts with V? How many Dutchmen are in the NFL? In other words,
good question.
Vanden Bosch is not here, so he got traded. But when I say Ndamukong Suh, and when I say Nick Fairley, and when I say Chris Hope, and I say Louis Delmas, and I say Spively, and I say some of these other guys, there he is. Those were the guys that were key to that defense the year before last. They were injured. They were getting in trouble. They were brawling. You know, maybe they need to be traded to the New Jersey Brawlers. I don't know, because they've been getting in all kinds of trouble, haven't they?
Yeah, but they're not going to let Sue or there's better players go just because they get suspended a few times. They're just going to try and have a little.
I don't see that happening.
Disciplinary talk.
You're right. You're right.
Well, two things you can count on about the Detroit Lions. One is that they will host a Thanksgiving Day game, and the other one is they play Ford Field.
That's right.
All right. That's all I can say.
And you know what? You know, I'm proud. I'm proud of American automobiles. We're kind of few and far between. So, if you would have asked me the question at the beginning of this segment, you know, hey, it's America. We're proud Americans. The next thing we want to talk about is where we build automobiles in this world. And I would have said, China? No, Joey. And I would have said, Japan.
Let's pretend I just asked you that.
And the third answer would have been Kentucky.
Kentucky!
Toyota, Honda, Kia, Daihatsu, Kansutai.
You know what?
Yes.
Remember the Datsun car company?
The Datsun?
D-A-T-S-U-N.
Before they became Nissan?
Right.
Yes, I do.
I know how they got the name.
No.
Okay. Way back in the 70s, there was a car company, had not yet been named. Well, actually, the company was there, but anyway, they hadn't named the car.
Huh.
And so the chief executive for the corporation said to his public relations guy, listen, mister, you got to come up with a name for this new car. Of course, he knew his name, but I don't remember his name.
Mickey's son?
I've changed the name to protect the innocent. Mickey's son. He said,
the innocent.
yeah, I know. Well, it's kind of embarrassing, but it's a good story.
You're a disclaimer and legal analyst on the show. Yes, please continue.
Equal opportunity and
keep us safe, and thank you.
You're welcome. So he said, you got to come up with a name for this car that we've just built. I mean, we haven't built them, but we've designed it, and it's ready to go into production. And his public relations guy said, all right, fine. It's a little out of the ordinary. I haven't really been in charge of naming cars yet, but I'll do anything for you, boss, because you're the boss. What the hey? And he said, just one thing. By when do you want me to have come up with a name for this car? And the boss said, well, how about 2 weeks from Wednesday? And the PR guy said, that soon?
Oh my goodness.
Insert laugh track.
Okay.
True story.
Insert laugh track.
True story.
True story though, huh?
Yeah. Best kind.
Thank you. I was unaware. I was unaware, and probably where they got the name Nissan. Well, that's for the next show. But thank you for that tidbit.
Anytime.